We're continuing on Mesechet Avodah Zarah, and we are on the bottom of Daf Nun Hey Amud Aleph, starting the Mishnah 3 lines up. Today's Amud is being learned. L'schud refuah shelema Meir ben Tova, Sarah Rachel bat Nora, for Hatzlacha Yigal ben Devorah. Today's Amud is also dedicated l'schud of refuah shelema for Rachel Simcha bat Nahid. Should have refuah shelema. Amen. So the Mishnah starts the number of dapim, of pages in Mesechet Avodah Zarah that discuss the halachot of yain nesech. We have spoken about pat akum, bishul akum. But now we're going to discuss a lot of the halachot of yain nesech. We mentioned before that there is a fundamental difference between yain nesech and pat akum and bishul akum. If a goy touches your food, the food does not become bishul akum. It touches your bread, it does not become pat akum. But by wine, there are certain stringencies that, aside from a goy actually handling wine, pouring wine, which would be yain nesech if he does it for Avodah Zarah, even if he handles or touches your wine, according to some, even if he looks at your wine, it will become a problem of yain nesech. Where does that start, and what are the boundaries of yain nesech is going to be the topic of our discussion, and we will be discussing a lot of very interesting halacha l'maaseh pointers of nowadays, of the way the wine presses are, and the wineries, and the non-Jewish wine production, and gifts, and so on and so forth, Be'ezrat Hashem, in this upcoming sugyot. So without further ado, the Mishnah says, Lokhin gat be'utamin havdei kochavim. You have a gat, which is the place that they would press actually the wine. We explained yesterday at the end of the shiur that the way the system worked was, you had an elevated surface of the ground. You had a place that they would put all of the grapes in, and they would go and literally with their bare foot press the wine, and then all of that would be directed to a pipe that would pour it into a pit, and the initial stages of fermentation will happen over there, and that is the gat on the top and the bore on the bottom. And there's a pipe between them that pours basically the grape juice, initial grape juice, squeezed by, being dorech anavim into the bore. So when a goy has a gat, has this area that he presses the grapes into grape juice, can you have that taken by a Jew from a goy? When he already has that, is it mutar for you to help him in process of pressing? Is it mutar for you to help him in process of bringing the grapes for him to step on and to make it grape juice / wine? All of those are what we're going to discuss. So gat, from now on when we mention gat, is the upper area when you actually put the grapes, and the conventional way was that they would wash their feet, hopefully, and they would go just step on them to squeeze the juice out. And the Mishnah says, "Lokhin gat be'utamin havet kochavim." You can get a gat. You want to buy over a production of wine, and you could do that even if it's a gat that is be'uta. That means he already has stepped on these anavim. You can still get that. It's not considered yain nesech. Even though that he is taking with his hands, notel beyado, he's taking with his hands and he's putting it into the tapuach, which is the secondary press. In other words, when you would be finished by stepping on top of these, still there's grape juice within them, and then you would take it with your hand and put it in a press and try to get every last drop of grape juice out. So even though that he does that, still it will be ve'eno oseyayin nesech at sheyered labor, and it does not become quote unquote wine for it to be considered yayin nesech until it goes down this pipe into the pit. So as long as it is in the gat, whatever is in the gat on the upper level is mutar. Once it's down and going down to the pit, that's when it becomes the halakha of wine and it becomes asur. So says the Mishnah, Yarad lebor, mashabebor asur v'ashar mutar. When it goes down, already went down to the pit, what it's already in the pit is asur if you touch it, but it does not make the rest of the upper area asur by the goy touching what's in the bor. So says the Mishnah, Dorchim im, the second set of halachot in the Mishnah is Dorchim im ha'oved kochavim begat. You could actually step on the wine and the grapes on the top area in the gat together with the goy. That's not considered asur. Aval lo botzrim imo, but you cannot pick grapes and schlep them to the gat with a goy. Why? Now, the dorchim im ha'oved kochavim needs a lot of explanation. He's pressing the grapes, and you are pressing it with him. So why is that mutar? Why is that mutar exactly? We have to explain, right? We have to explain, and that's because, the Gemara is going to explain it a little bit and explain how the Mishnah changed later on. But initial understanding of the Mishnah is because what are you exactly doing? The wine doesn't become yayin nesech until it goes down to the pit. So up there, what the goy is doing is not going to make this grape juice a halakha of yayin nesech. So what is the problem potentially? The problem is a concept in halakha, which is the prohibition isur for making perot Eretz Yisrael tameh. You cannot make the fruits of Eretz Yisrael tameh. Now a goy is tameh, because there was a gezerah of Chachamim. We learned this earlier on in the different Mesechtos. A bunch of times it has come up that there was a gezerah Rabbanan of tum'ah and akum for different reasons, as we have discussed. So if a goy is pressing this, so that becomes tameh. But if he already has started doing it, so he started the process and he's making it tameh already. So all you're doing is, you're not causing tum'ah for perot Eretz Yisrael. He started already. You're just helping him. Now there's no isur of helping a goy in doing that, because he's not doing an avirah. For a goy, it's not asur to make the fruits of Eretz Yisrael tameh. It's not one of his mitzvahs. Therefore, by you getting dirty, so to speak, in working in the gat, pressing the anavim, the grapes, you're doing nothing. You're not making them tameh. He already started it, and you're helping him out, which is not asur, because for him it's not asur to do that. And the whole thing is not yayin nesech until it goes down to the pit. So therefore, you're doing nothing. But, says the Mishnah, for you to work in his vineyard, if you are actually taking the anavim down and schlepping them to the gat, that would be asur. Why? Because these are fruits of Eretz Yisrael. And you personally are helping it when you know that he's going to make them tameh. You're bringing about that. And that is for you something inappropriate to do. Hence, you cannot be helping him in the process of picking the grapes, bringing the grapes to the gat, that would be a problem. So says the Mishnah, Dorchimim ovet kochavim. You can stand on top of the gat and press the grapes with the goy, so long as Rashi says, so long as he already started it, it's fine. Aval lo botzrim imo. But you cannot pick the grapes, bring the grapes to the gat. Now, Yisrael shehu oseh betumah. If you have a yid that he is also not from, so he is doing also with tumah, he is not careful in tumah v'tahara, so we assume that he also, just like a goy, he's going to be tameh. And also when he steps on the grapes, he's going to make them tameh. So you would assume that the halacha is going to be exactly like a goy, right? No. Says the Mishnah, Yisrael shehu oseh betumah, lo dorchin velo botzrim imo. Not only you cannot help him pick and bring, schlep the grapes, because of the same reason, because you are taking these poor grapes to tumah, right? But you can't even go and press together with the yid, and exactly because of what we explained before, because even though that he is the one that is bringing them lidei tum'ah, but you're helping him. Now, whereas by a goy, the goy is not doing in isur of making the fruits tameh, but the Jew is. So you're helping someone do an avera, that's mesayeh ovre yedeh ovre avera. You're helping someone that's doing an avera, and that would be inappropriate for you to do as well. So whereas the goy doesn't have any issue making fruits of Eretz Yisrael tameh, the yid does, the Jew does. And therefore you're not supposed to be helping him when he is doing an avera every second over here, making the fruits of Eretz Yisrael tameh. Right? So therefore Yisrael shehu oseh betumah, lo dorchin velo botzrin imo. You cannot do any of those. Aval molichin imo hachabyot. But there's one thing you could do after everything is said and done. So you already make them tameh. If you want to now, afterwards, after the initial press, they would put the mix into the chavin, this large barrels of wine for them to get processed further and ferment and become wine. That schlepping of the wine out of the gat, out of the bore, that would be mutar, because what are you doing? They're already tameh anyways. So therefore, Morichin imo chaviot legat. If you want to take initially, if you want to take empty barrels to be filled up, you want to take empty barrels to the gat, and mevi'in mina gat, and you want to take now full barrels that they put from the pit, from the bore inside, and you want to not take them to the storage. That's mutar, because you're not doing anything that helps the tum'ah of the fruits, and therefore that's mutar. Says the last piece of the Mishnah, same halacha applies to the dough also, because just like fruits of Eretz Yisrael you can't make them tameh, same halacha is for bread and dough. So therefore, nachtom. Now, what's a nachtom? The bread process in yesteryears was that you had a wholesaler and then you had an actual baker. So it was a nachtom, which would be like in mass production of dough, and they would actually also do the setup of the dough to be baked. And then you had the actual baker with the oven, with the public large commercial level oven. So Nachtom would give to all the bakers, and they would kind of like, just put it inside there, right? So says the Mishnah, therefore, if you have a Nachtom, a person that deals with the dough, shehu oseh betum'ah, that he is a Jew that's not careful in tum'ah v'tahara, and therefore is going to make the dough tameh, of course, lo lashin velo orchin imo. You don't knead the dough with him, and you don't even help him set up the dough as the initial braid of the bread to be given to the baker, because again, you're helping him in your mesayeh bidei ovre avera. You're helping someone that's doing something wrong. Aval molichin imo pat lepaltar. But you could be the delivery man the Uber Eats from there to the baker to put it in the oven and bake it, because you're not doing anything at that point. He's done with it already. He's done what the damage, and therefore being a delivery for him is not really, and it's not Isurei Hana'ah necessarily. We'll see in the Gemara in just a moment that if it would be Asur Ba'ana'ah, you can't even get schar to do it, which hashtag would be Uber Eats nowadays from treif restaurants. If you have, let's say, a delivery man is a Jew, and you are delivering a cheeseburger, which is basar b'chalav, and basar b'chalav is asur ba'ana'ah, the delivery that you're doing is extremely questionable, perhaps asur, because you're benefiting from isurei hana'ah, right? But over here, there is no, well, that's just putting a wrench into the thing, because people don't think about it in those terms, that I'm handling isurei hana'ah over here, and perhaps it will be a problem for getting any benefit from this. So says the Mishnah, in the case of nachtom, or in the case of the wine press, is mutar to take the bread or the barrels of wine afterwards, because the damage is already done. You're not doing really anything by delivering them to the storage or to the baker. So says the Gemara, Amar Rav Huna. Rav Huna says something that seems not to really be aligned with what we said in the Mishnah. Says Rav Huna, Yain kevan sheitchil leimashech ose yain nesech. When you have this process of pressing the grapes, what we said before, what was mashma in the Mishnah, was that when it goes down to the pit, then you're dealing with wine. Before that, Rav Huna says, soon as it starts going to the pipe, already is wine. It's considered already wine, and therefore you're handling already issues of yain nesech. Kevan sheitchil leimashech ose yain nesech. Already the touch of the goy could make it yain nesech in that state. Tanan, says the Gemara, Lokhim gat be'uta mina ovet kochavim. It's our Mishnah. Our Mishnah says you could get a gat be'uta, which means the goy already has pressed everything with his feet, and now at that point you're buying the whole business from him. How's that possible? If the halakha is like Rav Huna, as soon as he starts pressing with his feet, and the wine, the grape juice starts oozing out, what is that? That's yain nesech. How can you take over that business if it's yain nesech? Right? So it says the Gemara, that doesn't sound like Rav Huna over here. Which is our Mishnah. Amar Rav Huna, begat kuka u'mele'ah. Says no. You're talking over here in a gat that has been plugged. In other words, you have plugged the pipe taking the grape juice into the pit. So no grape juice is going down the pit. Everything is in the area of the gat itself, in the upper area, and it's filled with the mixture of the grape juice and the grapes. And that's what you're taking over. And that's mutar, because it didn't start going down yet. It's plugged. As soon as it starts going down, that's when it becomes a problem of yain nesech. So says the Gemara, okay, but let's take a look at the Braita. Braita says, Tashma, Ve'eno ose yain nesech ad sheyered lebor. Oh well, this is actually the end of the Mishnah. It says, it doesn't become yain nesech until it goes down to the bor. Well, that sounds a little more clear that when it goes down to the pit, that's when it becomes yain nesech. Not when they started going down, but when it's down in the pit. The Gemara says, no, that's the same, saying the same exact thing. Here is talking about the same exact thing also, that the gat is plugged up, and you're not letting anything go down to the pit. Therefore, it's not asur. When it says, until it goes down to the pit, not that it's sitting in the pit, but it is going down from the pipe, and the pipe in this case is plugged, and therefore, until you unplug this pipe and they go down to the pit, That process is what makes it Yain Nesach. Therefore, you could buy the business from a goy if it's plugged up and everything is kept in the gat. So still we don't have necessarily a stira. Rav Huna has managed to keep his halacha aligned with the Mishnah until this question. Says the Gemara, Tashma, let's analyze further. Yarad lebor, if he went down to the bor, mashe bebor asur v'ashar mutar. If he went down to the bor and now the goy touches it, that's what becomes asur, but the rest is mutar, which means even in that case, if a goy is on the gat touching, that would not make anything asur. Only things that are in the pit is asur. So that's already a checkmate. That does not go, it's not aligned with what Rav Huna said. Rav Huna says what's up there is problematic once it starts coming down. Now you're telling me what's in the pit is asur. So says the Gemara, Amar Rav Huna, lo kasha. Rav Huna says not the problem. Kan b'mishnah rishona, kan b'mishnah achrona. One of them is talking about before Chachamim changed their view on Yain Nesach, and the other one is what I'm telling you is after they changed their view. Now we have to explain what caused them to change it, but I will prove to you, says Rav Huna, that there was a switch in the Shita of Chachamim as to how they viewed the process of Yain Nesach when it starts. Says Rav Huna, the Tanya, we learn in the Braita, Barishona hayu omrim, Chachamim used to say in the beginning, badad, which is Rashi Tevot, as we'll see, en botzrim, badad is botzrim, and dorchim, bet dalet dalet, botzrim dorchim dorchim, which means like this, en botzrim imovet kochavim begat, you cannot help him schlep the grapes into the gat. We've explained that already, because you're helping the fruits of Eretz Yisrael becoming tameh. Sha'asur ligrom tum'ah lechulin shebe'eretz Yisrael, because you cannot cause tum'ah for chulin in Eretz Yisrael, for the fruits, even if they're chulin. Ve'en dorchim im Yisrael, and the dalet, the first dalet is, you cannot, en botzrin ve'en dorchin, you can't press the wine, you can press the grapes with a Jew that's not frum and not careful in tumah v'tahara, she'oseh perotav betumah, she'asur lesaya yodeh ovrei avera, because you're helping someone that's doing an avera. Aval dorchin, but you can press, and that's the second dalet, im ha'ovet kochavim begat, with the goy in the gat, because what are you doing? He's not doing an avera by making the fruits tameh. So you're helping him as long as he's already started, as we explained. That's fine. No problem with that. V'lo chayshinan leder Rav Huna. And we are not concerned with Rav Huna's thing. That's what Chachamim used to say. Says Rav Huna, v'chazru lomar. And they changed. They changed their mindset, Chachamim. And instead of saying badad, they said dabad, right? So what is that? Or dabab. So what is that? En dorchin. Instead of saying en botzrim with the goy, they said no, you can't be dorech with the goy up there on the gat. You can't go and help the goy press. Beforehand they were saying you could, because what is he doing? He's just making it tameh. There's no yain nesach until it goes down to the pit. But now they said, he actually makes it nesach right up there. Now it's a whole different story, because now if he becomes yain nesach up there in the gat, can you help him? Absolutely not. Because now you are doing a isur of helping yain nesach being created. So therefore, en dorchim im ovet kochavim begat mishum de Rav Huna, because of Rav Huna. Because already at the time that the grape juice starts being zav, oozing out, that becomes a problem. And says the Gemara, ve'en botzrim im Yisrael she'oseh perotav betumah. You can't, of course, bring with the Jew from the vineyard to the gat the fruits of Eretz Yisrael, because he's going to make them tameh. Again, you're Messiah of the Avera. And of course, that you can't actually press the grapes with the Jew that's not frum, that's going to make them tameh. But you could do it with the goy because you're not doing yain nesech, and you're only causing the fruits to come to his thing. But that's, the Gemara says, is not shemutar ligrom tumah lecholin shebe'eretz Yisrael, because that is not asur. We have to explain tomorrow why is in this end maskana of chazru ve'amru. Why isn't it asur for them to cause tum'ah for perot of Eretz Yisrael? And also, what changed the mindset of Chachamim from saying that the yain nesech is not created until it's in the gap, and beforehand? Be'ezrat Hashem will continue that in the days to come.